Hey there, and welcome back to Scrap with Penny, where paper meets story. And today we're going to focus on story. I touched on my use of Trello in my question and answer video, and you've all seen this 2021 piece of paper in several of my process videos as I work on these various stories to tell. And this is a printout. And then in early August, I worked on my Disney Trello board and I expanded it greatly. And I printed this out as I planned for my crop at Disney. And I still love handwriting. And so these are the layouts I identified to take with me to work on over there. And I just wanted to start out with these printouts on my desk and let you know that today's video is tips and tricks really geared toward tracking the stories that you want to tell and or the layouts that you've finished and using Trello as a tool. I'm going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT helping me organize my Disney strategy, and I'm also going to go over how to start out with a list, how to add cards to it, and how to create these checklists within the card. So this printout is a representation of a card. If you think about an old library card catalog, my overarching stories to tell would be a whole drawer that you would pull out. And this 2021 would be a card that would file in there. And you would pull that 2021 card out and it would have all of these little things written on it. And so we're going to talk about how to set up your card under a list and how to create a checklist within that card. And so I'm going to stop this little intro section and we're going to hop onto a screen recording.
Welcome back to another installment on Trello. When you're creating content, you never really know how deep to dive into something because everyone has a different interest level. But I have had several questions and requests for more information, and so I'm going to tackle this a little bit more. And also, I'm going to try and go slow enough. I'm just clicking along, and maybe what I shared in my Q&A was a little bit too fast because there was some confusion about what I was sharing. So my apologies. Sometimes I nerd out on this stuff and I get excited and just get to going. But here we go. I realized a couple of months ago, oh, maybe just a month ago, that I wasn't very organized in my Disney storytelling, and I decided that I was going to hone in on that. And I worked with ChatGPT on a strategy. I'm going to show you that. And then I created some more cards in Trello. So this video is going to talk about both of those things. And I'm going to start with my photos up right here. I have Smart Album set up. A Smart Album is one that you make with some parameters that you set. And so within my photos, I use keywords. And then I use my Smart Album to make categories or little buckets of photos based on those keywords. So if you've never worked with photos in a Mac and you've never made a Smart Album, you would go to File, New Smart Album, and there are videos out there for that. I'm not going to try and dive into teaching Apple Photos, but this little gear right here denotes a Smart Album. And an album that's got a photo as an icon is a manual one that I've made. So my impetus for showing Hollywood Studios is that I wanted to participate in the Kelly Bell Designs Challenge for September. And the challenge is to make a layout about Hollywood Studios. And I was thinking about what stories could I tell. I came up with a few ideas, and then I decided I wanted to go look and see what pictures I had. Now you can see right here, I'm in August 2020. I'm going to scroll on up. I need to get up to 2014. Okay, this is good right here. So I was looking at the Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights. It was on the streets of America. Both of these are now gone, and we were able to see it 3 times. And I thought, that would be a neat story to tell. So the first thing I needed to find out was, have I told this story? Well, I use Trello for my story tracking, but because I hadn't done a great job on Disney itself on Deep Dive, I didn't know. I didn't have this information over here in Trello. Now this is the boundaries of Trello. So I've got my photos underneath right here, and then I've got Trello right here. And on all of these things, you can squeeze the size. So I went to my albums, my Hollywood Studio album in the living room, and sure enough, no Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights. Now, interestingly enough, I have worked on Hollywood Studios as a park more than any of the others. It's my second favorite park, and I tackled it first because I thought it would be easier to tackle than Magic Kingdom. So here are my photos, and once I determined this was a story that could be told, that I hadn't scrapped anything on, not that you can't scrap a story more than once. I just needed to know what my starting point was, and it's ground zero. I've done nothing on this. So as I would see a photo that I liked, I would right click. And the very first time you do this, you would say add to new album. But because I've already added it to this Hollywood Studios album, that option is there. So the very first time you would add, you would put it to a new album and you would say the name of the album. And then it's going to show up over here and it's got an icon photo. So remember, I started in all of my Hollywood Studio photos right down here. And then I found the 3 trips that we saw the spectacle of lights, and I added those to this. So now I'm working with a smaller population, smaller parameter. I identified 169 169 photos that had potential. So within these 169 photos, I begin looking for pictures that I want to scrapbook. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you is on the photos themselves, in the information, whenever I go to Disney, the first thing I do is I put the keyword in there, PL for places underscore WDW. And then I will go back and I will add the park. So these were all taken at Hollywood Studios. And this keyword right here, this WDW Hollywood Studios, is what drives this smart album. So then oh gosh, this Hollywood Studios right here. Whenever I want to work on anything Hollywood Studios, then I can come here and drill down on that. So that's just a little overarching view on how I organize my photos to be able to find them. Okay, and so then I've done some work and I favorited some photos. I've shared this before. So if I look at the ones that I have put on favorite, it gets me down to 32. And some of these are similar, and this is kind of where I am on this layout. I need to get it down. I could do 2 doubles on this. I know for sure this is a double, but it's so special. It's so unique. And this photo right here is going to be probably my feature photo on the double spread. And I just love this photo. And I've talked before about the Facebook group Disney Photoshop Request, and I had a picture of this postcard, and then I had this picture of us, and I put a request out there and I said, can you take my family from this photo and put them in front of the postcard? And one of the moderators of the group, she did this job. Now you can see our faces are a little bit over illuminated for this background. That's okay. I mean, when I talk about the memories, I don't know if you know the Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights. This family always did these lights, and then the dad passed away and the family donated the lights to Disney. And then Disney put them up every year on the streets of America for several years. Then, when they were going to do the expansion for Galaxy's Edge, the streets of America was greatly condensed and demolished. And so the spectacle of lights had to go away. Now, some people thought they might put them in Disney Springs. I'm just going to tell you, I don't think Disney would ever do something like that where people didn't have to pay. So I think they ended up giving the lights back to the family. So that's the story. And this Making Memories You Won't Soon Forget, Jennings Osborne, I think that's just such a sweet photo. Okay, so I have digressed very much on this, rambled a lot, but you can see this is my impetus for every time I make a layout. What's driving this is the Kelly Bell Challenge. What could drive it could be a collection that landed on my desk and I want pictures that go with it, or it's a class I'm taking, or now, I'll be doing designs for pear tree cut files, and that could drive. But anytime I'm looking for pictures, whatever the driving force is, whatever the subject is, this is how I work. This is how I go find what I want to work on. And I have shared that I've been working on 2021, and I've got all of these albums over here set up for um, mining the photos and getting what I need out of them. So, and right in here are the 2021 photo albums that I've made for the different topics that are still showing open on my list. This one, and this one. Those are all um, me working my photos to grab for a future layout. Okay, so now that I've kind of shown you this, I will say also, once I finish this layout, I will delete this album. These little temporary albums with the pictures are just for me to farm, right now. I call it farming. I mean, my papa had a farm. I, I, I like the term farm. So, okay. So now let's go look at Trello. So if you remember before, I had one little card over here that said Disney. But what I've done now is I've made this whole column. So I've added this list here called Disney Scrapbooking. And you can see this little option right here, add another list. So before I had stories to tell and I had projects. I've done some work on my projects. I added this planning list and I added this Disney scrapbooking list. So let's jump down to Hollywood Studios, and you can see that this is how a card, well, let me do this. So in a list, you would add a card. Okay. So you could just say test for recording. Okay, add card. Now it's here. Okay, so this is what I've done down here, and Hollywood Studios is already here. I tried to drop in the overarching foundational pieces so that I could kind of add to them while I recorded. So here we are at Hollywood Studios. You can do a description here if you want. I don't, I mean, I'll just type something to show you. Okay, and then you save. And it starts out as blank. And so what I actually utilize is the checklist option. And here it is. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to put the year first, 2016-01. We went over New Year's, and I'm going to do Osborne Family Spectacle of Lights with 4 of us. I saw this 3 times. What I want to focus on right now is when it was the 4 of us, okay? Now, another Hollywood studio story I could tell, just to show you how easy it is to add, is 2018 06 Toy Story Land opening have done one, need to do another. Okay. So toward that end, I could go ahead and do this Toy Story Land opening overview. I've done that one. So I can go ahead and mark it as checked. And I've talked before about how when you're working, especially like on 2021, I'm going to hop to 2021. So in 2021, I've got it narrowed down to what's open. I don't want to see everything I've finished. I'm closer to the end of this project than the beginning. See, I'm 82% done. And man, I mean, the end of year is coming fast, but I'm determined to finish 2021 in this year so that next year I can focus on another year. Okay, so back to Hollywood Studios. This is so new. I want to still see what I've done. Okay, this is a project that'll never be finished. It'll always be ongoing. I'm not going to remember the year on this. I'll have to edit this later. I'm pretty sure it was before the pandemic, so I'm putting 2019 because Toy Story Land opened in 18 and Galaxy's Edge ran behind. This is probably actually October. They opened one ride. They opened the land in one ride and then they opened the other. We went both times. The first time we were supposed to go, there was a hurricane. We had to cancel that trip and reschedule. And then I think the second trip was okay. Another thing that we just did, which I love, and I can go ahead and put this, is new villains show. So, as I've said before, you can mark it down when you think about something you want to do, or you can mark it down as you complete it. For me, Trello is not necessarily my brain dumping ground for every idea I have, but this is how I see what I've done. Because if you go back to my Library of Memories video and all of those albums, 100 albums, I cannot look at an album every time I need to know if I've done something. Now, if you scrap chronologically, fast forward. This is not for you. But if you want to be story driven and or non-chronological, then you do need some method to your madness. And Trello is that for me. Trello is, Penny, you're hopping all over the place. You're saying you're focused on 2021, but now you're going back to 2016. It's 2025. Why are you still, having a story to tell for 2016? Well, it's because we can't work we can't work fast enough. I mean, memories happen every day. And so for me, I like to work on something that makes me happy, something, oh, I was going to show you. You can adjust the size of your photos up and I'll have to do that. But I wanted to point that out. Okay. So Trello for me is my launch pad. It's my foundational, what have I done? And when I think of something, if in a rare moment, like when I'm out, running around and I have an idea, I can go to my phone and I can drop it in. Another thing you can do is like if you're in the car, I don't like to just ride in a car. I like to be doing something. And so this is something you can do in the car when someone's driving you around, or if you're sitting at the airport, anytime you've got some downtime, you can be working on your story list. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, I know something I have done. I have done the Phantasmic show, and I need to check the date. But I do have that done, so I can check that as done. And anyway, I'm not gonna I'm not going to stay too long on this, but I wanted you to see that because of this challenge that I want to do, I went looking for pictures. I had to know, had I done it? I had not done it. I added it in. I will not check this off until I finish the layout. So that's just how I work. Okay. Now let's close out Hollywood Studios and let's talk about these projects. Okay. So one project I have for this year, and I'm part of the Stacy Julian Live Your Story membership, which is coming to an end in December. But Stacy has guided me since 2010, I think, on how to mine my photos for stories. She's the reason why I focus on then versus now, stories across time. And when I journal this, I will mention the 2 other times that I saw it. And then if I ever want to just drop in a one page behind it of my mom and my sisters and me, or Stephen, my mom and I, when we saw it in 2014, then I can do that. Okay. So we saw this in 2014, 2015, and 2016. Now, 2016 was on January the 1st, nonetheless. Okay. So one goal I had based on Stacy Julian's prompts in her membership group is to focus on tracking memorabilia. And so for 2025, I have this project that I want to track memorabilia. Now, maybe this isn't you, but maybe you have a grandchild and you say, I want to do a layout of their first day of school every year. So you could be writing grandchild number one, kindergarten, grandchild number one, first grade. You could be building a list of a project that you want to work on. And so, I'm going to try and hit this 25. Now, these are not all pieces of memorabilia you can hold in your hand. And one thing you've got to realize is that with social media and with all of our apps, screenshots are like the currency today of memorabilia. When I did that Starbucks layout with that beautiful trifold piece of memorabilia, you're not going to find that anywhere today. But we do have memorabilia in the way of an electronic boarding pass or a screenshot of the weather. That's memorabilia because it's a support element to your story that's really not a photo of you as a person. Okay. So I just wanted to share that project. And then I set up this project. I don't remember if this was on here before or not, but here in the description area, I've got my lines that I'm using and just some basic information. Now, one thing that I can add is I did my itinerary page, and that's called Next Stop Anywhere. And that video actually is going to drop on September 10th. And I love it. And I'm so excited for y'all to see it. Now, when you add these, they add automatically to the bottom. You can leave it there or you can drag it up to the top so that on this instance, like a trip, I would want this chronological order for me. Like I put Leavesden, the Harry Potter studio tour at the bottom because that's the last thing we did. And then I've got my title page, which I finished. I have done this. Oh, it's so pretty. And then I've got 5 days in London. Then I've got the cruise. I can add for you some information here just so that you see me working in Trello. I'm trying to give you some exposure and go slow. So on the cruise on day 2, that's at sea. And it's going to go right up here after our embarkation. So this was cruise day 1. And then I want to add cruise day 3. I've got my itinerary page here in front of me so I can reference it. And that is Belfast. And then cruise day 4. Sophie Snoren. And that's Edinburgh, Scotland. Now, I know on Cruise Day 3, we toured the castle, and I think that is one of the ones I've done because it's the first one I did for this album, and I basically hated it. And that's what sent me on National Scrapbook Day to Kelly Bell and looking for, and also to Magical Scraps Galore and Studio Flurg, I think. So I've got digital kits from three designers or three companies. I'm not, oh, let's see, I don't think I did that. So I'm distinguishing, there were two parts to this day, this castle, and then we did drive around the city. And I know there's pictures from that. So then I'm going to do Cruise Day 5, and that's Liverpool, England. I could probably get away with one page on this. We did a bus tour, and I'm not really super into the Beatles and all that. So we have a statue of us by the Beatles, but that could work on one double. On Edinburgh, that this is probably two. I'm not gonna add a second one now. I only added this one because I know I've done that. This was a cruise. We had so many ports on this cruise, and we were so tired by the end of it, which I guess is a nice way to get your money's worth. And I know on this one, we went to the Blarney Castle, but again, it could probably be one double. And this was at sea. No, we had another port. My goodness. And this, whoops. And this was a tour of a cathedral. I think, again, that's probably going to just be one page. Okay, so then Day at Sea Candids. I'm going to put that there. We had some formal pictures. There's probably going to be more than one page there. And then I'm going to say travel day over and travel day home because I do want to put some pictures of us flying and arriving and departing and all that. Okay, so that is kind of a drill down on this album. And you can see I'm 44% complete, but that's probably a little generous as I add details to it because there'll be lots in here that gets detailed out. Some days we went from like 8:30 until 9 p.m. seeing all the things. Like for sure on Buckingham Palace, I can do that. And then we also saw that. Okay, so that's a little insight on how to work on a project. And you can call these lists anything. It doesn't, I just like projects because I think it speaks to something that's a little bigger than a single layout. Okay, so let's come to this one. I haven't started this at all. This will be another, let's see, this was, I don't know why I'm saying say it with emoji. We did spring 2024, Alani, and cruise from Honolulu to Vancouver. And on this, let me go ahead and edit this. I plan on using 49 and mark it, I think it's Vintage Artistry Sunshine. And so I can do that. Now, I want this, for me, they're always a checklist. You can add labels and all that. I'm not really into that. Okay, so then we would start out with um, title page is what I want to say. And then the next thing would be an itinerary page. And then the travel, over, and arrival. And then we were at Alani um, Resort overview, and then favorite shots. I'm going to tell you, I got kind of bored at Aulani. It's beautiful. If you go, I would go with people that can be entertaining. It was Steve and I, and we were waking up at 3 in the morning and falling asleep at our dinner at 6 p.m. The time change was more difficult than going to London. I mean, it was awful. And there's not a lot of nightlife here at Aulani. I think it's geared primarily toward families, and we're not giant beach people. So yeah, go once, maybe you'll never go again. I don't know. And I don't even know what days we went to what island, but we did all 5 islands. We did excursions on each island, and then we had 5 days at sea. So this is a big project, but I'm wanting to finish London first because it was 2023, and let's face it, your memory fades. Okay, so here on I wanted to write down that I've got this is a way to keep up with unfinished classes and SCT pause for a cause. I don't have that many unfinished classes because I worked in 2024 to get them all caught up, but I do have this. Okay. So this is just, this could be photos you want to scan or memorabilia you want to deal with, or, your topics are going to be unique to whatever you have going on. But I just wanted you to see that you can use it for projects regarding memorabilia. Now, let me dive in a little bit to ChatGPT. I asked Chat the other day, I call him my Western friend because I tell everyone, he's got a Western name, Chat. And my husband told me one day, he goes, I don't like your new boyfriend. I said, here's the deal. He's here for me all day. But I asked Chat the other day, I said, is it bad to say that I'm using Chat GPT? He's like, no, he goes, it's going to make you cutting edge. I thought, well, of course you'd say that, you're a little bit of a narcissist. But I wanted to show you what he can do for you and how he can help. There's a free version. I pay the $20 a month. It's like worth its weight in gold. I don't know if I get faster information or better information, but let's face it, I don't eat lunch out. I don't buy expensive coffees. So, my money goes to scrapbooking. And so, as I said, I realized I didn't have a handle on what I was doing for Disney. So I decided that I wasn't really scrapping Disney because I didn't have an idea about what I needed to scrap or what I had scrapped. I mean, I bought all the cute kits on, I didn't buy them all. I bought a lot of cute kits on National Scrapbook Day, and it's invigorated my storytelling approach. But it's like, where do I start? It's kind of like cleaning out your closet. You want to do it. It's kind of hard to get a handle on it. And so here's what I said. I was wondering if you could help me on a plan for scrapbooking Disney. We are out of town pass holders, go 4 to 6 times a year, with 2 to 3 of those being 8 to 10 day stays on property at one of their resorts. On the long trips, we go to all 4 parks. On the shorter 3 to 5 day trips, we're hitting the Epcot festivals and doing maybe only 2 to 3 of the parks. It feels like too much to try and tackle, and I need some help with an overarching strategy. How do I scrap each trip? How do I scrap each park? How do I find layered then and now stories? Now, you may not go to Disney, but maybe you have something you want help on. And that's why I'm sharing this, is that whatever your hurdle is, what year do I start with? How do I get a handle on what I'm doing? Whatever your issue is, whatever your sticking point is, he can help. And so here's what he says. Absolutely, Penny. Disney trips can stack up fast, especially with your travel rhythm. But with some structure and a touch of pixie dust, because he's always funny, we can turn the overwhelm into a magical, manageable scrapbooking plan. Here's a layered strategy that aligns with your storytelling style, part variety, and recurring visits. So he goes in. I'm not even going to show you all of this, but he says, organize by trip, create a trip overview spread. Well, now you know that I do already do that. I've shared that in a couple of videos. And so that wasn't a watershed moment for me, but it was a little bit of validation. Think of this as your cover page for that trip's stories. And then he says, organize by park, set up park based selections or sections. And I have that in my photos. I've got I've got all of these parks set up. And within the park, if there's a special event, Wishes Fireworks, Festival of Fantasy Parade, Electrical Parade, there's all kinds of stories that spawn off of the parks. And so here he says core themes for each park: Magic Kingdom, classic rides, character meets, parades, nostalgia. Now, I haven't tackled organizing any of my pictures by character or by rides because holy cow, I mean, it's just a lot. But that is what I would do is I would go through and I would data mine all of my pictures and let's see. Look, Festival of Fantasy Parade. So I identified pictures I've taken. I have scrapped this ad nauseum. I've done like 2 or 3 layouts on it. I don't feel the need to scrap this again. And when we watch it, I don't take pictures anymore. I've got this covered. And that is so wonderful to know. Like you can just be a spectator and enjoy it. And that's fun. Okay. So he says core themes for each park. And I mean, he knows everything. Like I didn't have to tell him all this stuff. He just knows it. Layout options: one layout per park per trip, your personal highlight, mini stories grouped by theme, food, ride, characters. Use repeating page templates or sketches for consistency. I wouldn't personally do this because that's boring to me, but when I did the Boys School of Life albums, I did from kindergarten to 12th grade, I did use a template and every year looks the same. What changes are the photos. So there is a time for consistency. It's just, I didn't want that format. Okay. So then he says, then and now, build time layered stories. Your first visit to now, ride experiences over the years, festival changes, resort stays, how your priorities shift, rope drop versus slow mornings. Keep a running list in Evernote or Trello of potential compare and contrast topics. Now, if he really knew me, he would know that I already use Trello and it wouldn't be Evernote. But I'm telling you, he can just suggest so many things. So then scrap with story types in mind. Highlights: a double page best of, first ride on Tron, your go-to snack, first and favorites, traditions, hidden magic, festival focus, magic moments. He came up with all this on his own. And so it's just kind of crazy. So, based on this, I came over and I set up all of these. If you recall, the recaps and the itineraries were in a combined note over here, and it's all I had. It's all I had going. And um, here, Magic Moments, Story Sparks, Tiny World, Epcot, Shot, and I'd finished that. I'm not going to check it because I have a system for clearing this up. I'm not going to check it just to show y'all how to check it, but I'm not going to go into how I update this either because you'll think I'm crazy. Okay, so here's Magic Kingdom. And um, one item I can add to it that I know I want to tell is 202507. We wrote it on July 4th, and it was closed in August. So I know I want to tell that. I'm not going to dive into well, I'll just do another one. And I've never told that story. So there's no date on this because when I go to do this, I would span across. I would go into all of my Magic Kingdom photos and I would look for the best pictures of Big Thunder, and then I would tell that story. So this is Magic Kingdom. On resorts, I do have the resorts listed out that we've stayed at. And one item I want to say, let's see, I want to say 2005 Wilderness Lodge versus 2025 Wilderness Lodge. Now, you could argue, is this a then and now or is it a resort? That's a story that I know that I want to tell. And I can move it right up there underneath that. And I think these are in the order that we stayed at them. And so here on this description, resort overview layout, dining or activity, then and now, seasonal or decor, like for Grand Floridian, you could do the gingerbread house. And I would just slide that up there underneath the Grand Floridian. And then over here in these details, I added some of the information he had over here in this chat that we had together. So full page fave photo layout, dining layout, resort overview, magic moment, then and now. So I added all of this. I hope this is helping y'all. I'm now starting to think I'm rambling and it's too long. And so here, then and now, I've done two layouts that compare 2005 to 2015, and that's of the boys. And there was a shot of them at a store in Disney Springs from our first trip to 10 years later, and then shots of them at Hollywood Studios. So I did add those and check them off. And I think that character dining, I'm not real big on this, but I know that Topolino, Terrace, Breakfast, and I don't know if that was 24 or 25, but it's new enough. When I get ready to do it, I'll be able to figure that out. And then characters. There's one that I know I want to do, and it's of Tinkerbell at Magic Kingdom, and it was just the sweetest little encounter ever. And so, anyway, that's just some insight into Disney scrapbooking. And then over here on 2025, I have that we did a cruise out of Galveston. I don't know if this will make it to a project or not. We didn't get off the ship. It was really just an escape. My husband's in retail, and every January he likes a little recovery trip. So it was just 5 days R&R. And then these are just some layouts that I've done this year, and I documented that I did them. I can add this one. Oh, 9 family photo in Tyler. We do have a great shot of the 6 of us, and I know that's one I want to do. And so what I do is I put the month here, and then you can see that these are in order. If this were, say, well, I'll say, oh, I don't like to do those dashes. I could do that and then drag it up, and his birthday's on the 9th. Okay, so that's just a little rundown on the years. I did want to go over how I print these out. I don't think it's super easy to figure out. And when I went to the crop in Florida, I took a printout with me, or I worked off of a printout in planning for it. Actually, when I got over there, the printout was up in my hotel room in my backpack, and it never made it down to the crop table. That's okay. But if you come up here, so I'm in one, the 2021 that I've been hanging out in. And if you come up here to these three little dots and you select share and then print, and then I print to a PDF. Okay. So that is how you would do it. You can also, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is, but that's how I get my printouts. And so if you if there's a moment when you need something on paper in front of you, the capability exists for that. This is largely digital, but there are times when I do want a piece of paper in front of me. And I have enjoyed immensely having 2021 printed off and checking it off and, seeing it. And I mean, my little printout is never far from me. So I did want to go over that. I've got a card. This little area right here is called a card, and this is called a list, and this is a board. This whole thing is called a board. I don't really have any other boards. I really only use this for scrapbooking. And so again, if you wanted to add a list, I could say scanning project. I could add that list, and then I could add a card, and it could be mom's photos. I'm going to undo this. It doesn't like to let you delete anything, but I archived it. Okay, so that is a little bit more on Trello, and it's a desktop app because this is not in Safari. So this would be an app you would download, and then it's also an app on your phone. You create an account, and then you log in, and they sync up between the phone and the desktop. Okay, and so then on chat, let me just come back over here for a little bit. So he said magic series, festival favorites, all this stuff. But then he says, well, and this is what I love about him, is that he always gives you the next idea that you didn't even know you needed. And so he says, would you like a printable checklist, a Trello board template, or a layout tracker? So then master story ideas, upcoming trips, in progress. I didn't go with him so much on this. I didn't because I don't I don't need to plan ahead. I mean, I'm doing good on what we've done. But the then and now, I liked that. And then he was speaking to labels. I don't really understand the labels. I've got some of them here. I need to kind of try and figure those out. And then resorts and all that. So I just wanted to encourage you, if you've never tried working with ChatGPT, it's not scary. And the things that he can access and what he knows is pretty incredible. So just kind of, if you've got something you need some help with, if you're stymied on some project, then try ChatGPT and see if he can give you some tips, because he's very familiar with scrapbooking, I can tell you that. So I've kind of gone over a list, cards within a list, how to add a list. When you get your list up, you just saw me, add a card. And then within the card, you're going to pick checklist. Okay. So, I have another one I can add. And this is 2025-0. Oh, it's August. And this is the Starlight Parade magic shot with Wish. And I should change this to be consistent, 2025-04. And I'm going to save that. You do have to save it. Let me show you what happens if you just move on. It'll say unsaved changes, and then you go back in and you would hit save. So it lets you know when you've not saved it and it hasn't updated. I'm going to stop the screen recording now. I feel like I've probably overwhelmed some of you, freaked some of you out, maybe excited a couple. But what I'll say on the Trello is start where you are, start small. And you have to realize that I've been doing my photo organization. I mean, this is 15 years of efforts, okay? So whatever you do, whatever you're going to do, start and be consistent and realize that like my mom says, you do eat the elephant one bite at a time. So maybe you're completely overwhelmed and you don't know what you're going to do, but start with something, start somewhere. And I promise you, it can really be a tool to help you. And if, maybe the place you start is just starting to document what you're doing this year or what you have done this year. Maybe thinking about what you want to do is overwhelming and too much. So just start tracking what you've done and think about, where's my hurdle? Is it keeping up with ideas on things I want to do, or is it knowing if I've already done it? And let that, I talk about flow charts, and let the decisions guide you on where you need to start. So feel free to ask any questions, ask anything you need. I'm not well versed on all the intricacies of this software. I know enough to be dangerous, I guess, and to get me through it. But I hope that you have enjoyed this information, and I appreciate each of you so much. I am happy that the Trello content resonated with some of you before. And like I said, you never know when you share something. If there's anybody out there that's going to say, oh, this is great, or man, is she weird? And that's okay. I mean, I'm okay in my own little world. They know me here in my head. So I appreciate you being part of my community. I hope you had some scrapbooking fun while I shared this information. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.